Mm-hmm. Is it started? Live. Uh, is it? Yeah, I think yes, it is. Let me quickly check if somebody joined. Okay. I'm just checking for the voice in case everything is going good. Do, 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 do. Okay. Now I can hear here. Just yeah, perfect, guys. I can hear the voice from my other device. That is my phone. And we still have like 3 minutes left in case like somebody joined. Then we will start. So what I'm going to do meanwhile is adjust the camera a bit. Not much, but okay, perfect. I got my I don't use this notebook and pen, so I will keep it there. Or is this one? Concurrent view is this one. How to check for the chat? Okay, this is the chat. So nobody is there. Just let's see if in next 2 minutes somebody joined. Then we will start with today's lesson. Mhm. Anyone joined? We have only 1 minute left. Once 12:10 is done, we will start with A number three. Let's see if somebody else joined. Because I want to make sure that the session is started at exact time. So those people who are coming a bit late, they also joined. Uh, I need to learn how to mute this thing. Uh, I wish somebody joined. I could have asked, like, can you write on the comment section how you're feeling? But, anyways, there will be definitely a time when I will join like this and I will ask, hi, how are you guys? From where you are? Okay, so it's 12, then let's get started with learning, okay? So, those people who are new about this thing, let me clarify a few things. First of all, this sequel is all about learning from very basic from the scratch. So in the live session, I'm not going to teach you, but whatever I learned so far as an experienced guy in IT, plus along the side, what we're gonna learn throughout this live session through different resources, maybe from some website, maybe some from uh, chat GPT or cloud AI, some AI tools that we're gonna leverage as well to give us the concrete or crisp information about the things. Okay, so don't expect that I'm going to teach you all throughout this session. What we're gonna do, we're gonna learn. So it's gonna be two ways. So if you joined, Trust me, guys, you will learn a lot because this session is all about two-way communication. Okay, so if you haven't joined so far, so let me tell you one more thing. That is, today is day number 3, and today is very important because day one we talk about just the introduction, so there was not much to discuss. If you want to check out, you can simply go and see our live videos. Plus, corresponding to that video, we have created a short video. You can also look at that one. So today is day 03, and it's very important because we're going to learn what is SQL again, then database again, and your relational database management system. Why? Because we have covered this as part of day one, but we're gonna cover it again. Okay, so don't worry about that one. Okay. So before we proceed, we just I will just let you know about the day one and day two. Day one is all about introduction. Okay, about SQL database, then RDBMS. Something we learn in journal why the SQL came in was the history of it. Okay, why its name was initially SQL, but later it was converted to SQL. Okay, why it was invented in first place? Invented in first place. Like, what was the failure of paper that led to the invention of Excel, and why Excel failed, and then it led to the expansion or the creation or invention of SQL database. Okay, so that thing we learn as part of day one. Day two was all about the roadmap we're gonna follow for the next 56 days. Okay, so if you haven't watched, just make sure you can quickly go into and check out the live. If not, it's not much or a big deal of a thing because after this, the real thing gonna start. Okay, today is the real thing we're gonna dive into and learn more about the sequel. Okay, so if you're here for the first time, there are a few resources that I want to make sure you guys always check out. First one is our YouTube channel where all the live sessions goes in. So this is our YouTube channel, like youtube.com, whatever it slash at the rate code for coin. And here is the live session tab. If you see here, all the live sessions are here. In case you want them into a bundle or in a playlist, we have also created the playlist where we are keeping them in sequential order so that it become easy for you to track. So the playlist name is SQL hyphen live. Okay, so it's for live. In case you missed the day one and day two or the previous any of the day, we are trying to make sure the corresponding short video of 4 or 5 minutes, a crisp videos of whatever the live session was held or we presented is being recorded or created, and we upload this in the video section. So you can simply go and look for 5 minutes and you will understand what we did in that particular live. Okay. That's one resource. Second resource that I want you to always hold on to is my LinkedIn account. You can simply go and follow me on my LinkedIn account. That is also must because there are a lot of things that I post in the LinkedIn. For example, articles or basically your infographics and many other things. So it will be good if you are connected on the LinkedIn because that's become a formal way of communicating with one another. The third thing that I really want you to connect, even if you don't connect to Gumroad or Instagram, is fine. Gumroad is also okay if you want to join, but GitHub, you need to always make sure that you have access to the GitHub. So once you get into github.com/code for coin, there are 3 repositories that we're gonna fill as we progress in time. But currently we are starting with SQL because that's a basic to start with. So SQL, if you click here, you will see multiple folder here. You don't have to go in top 3 because I'm still working on it. You should go to repository or the directory number 4004 SQL 02 hero. You simply go here. You will see day wise the files being uploaded here. Day 0 is syllabus, so you don't have to check this one. The introduction part, if you click here, so this is being created similar to HTML. So you can see it, what is SQL? It's written here. Then is a breakdown of SQL. So if you have a time, you can simply have cursory glance. And again, the link is also available here. Then if you want to go to the day number 2, simply click here and it will take you where all the roadmap is being written or documented properly. For example, we are gonna start with today what is SQL, database and RDMS, despite the fact that we have already covered as day one, but we're gonna talk it again so that it become formally documented in our roadmap. Okay, tomorrow we're gonna do MySQL and Postgres installation, but we will go with the Postgres because this is much higher in demand in IT because of open source and providing much more flexibility compared to MySQL. And this Postgres is also being easily integrated into multiple cloud platform like Azure or AWS. So it become very handy in case you want to switch between the platforms. You still have your data available. You just have to migrate it. So Postgres become a very valid choice at the moment. Then we will learn the create, drop, alter table commands, then data type, insert, delete, update, then select a statement, and then we will cover our week one. So today I'm not going into much into this one because we cover it as part of day two. I'm just starting with week one, that is day one. What is SQL? What is database? And what is RDBMS? Okay. So in case you have followed day one and you feel like, okay, we already know, you can drop it. If not, or if you want to rehearse what you learn in day one, in case you feel like you are not 100% sure, you can simply continue watching this. Okay. Any questions so far? Uh, no, because I'm the only one. Anyways, so I'm not searching about SQL because that we already done for the day one. So we will simply go here and I will quickly teach you about this one. The very first thing we're gonna learn is what is SQL. What is SQL? Okay. If you are fresher, not experienced guy, but if you are fresher, okay, and if you have very first interview of your life and they ask you, dude, what is SQL? So how are you gonna answer? Okay, so the first thing you should know that SQL stands for structured, then Q for query, and L for language. Okay, so S for structure, Q for query, L for language. If you understand these three terms properly, you can define SQL easily. Okay, so before we delve into this one, I want you to understand since this is a language that we use to communicate with computers, or typically we address them as machine. That's why they are called programming language. Okay, simple analogy is if two humans are interacting one another in any form of communication, for example, in English, in Dutch, or in Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Hindi, any of this one, any of this one. So the interaction between human to human through any form of communication is called human language. Similarly, any way of communication between human to machine or machine to machine is called programming language because you help you to communicate with the computers. So basically what you're doing, you are writing a piece of code that we call program, and that's why it become a programming language. First of all, you need to understand SQL is a programming language because it helps you to communicate with the machine. Okay, that's the first thing you should know. So first thing we understood about SQL is it's a programming language. Okay. Now let's start with our acronyms. As for structure, right? So see, in this particular world or in our earth, there are many ways our digital data can be stored. Okay. Remember, if I am working with a programming language, that means I need to work with the computers. Okay. And computer is gonna be medium or a machine that gonna help me to process something. So what kind of information is gonna take as input? Obviously, it's gonna be digital. It can't take, for example, your computer at your home. It can't eat. It can't take a stone bed or something like to process. It gonna take digital information. So but the machine that take input digital information. So digital information can be stored in multiple ways, in many ways. For example, it can be stored in text format like Notepad or your Google Docs. Okay, that's become textual data or your picture. The information is stored into pixels where colors are RBY or something I forget are red, blue, green, I guess. RBG. Yeah, based on this color combination, every pixel is defined, and based on every pixel combination, your picture is defined, right? So that's a picture, then video. So this is one of the form of digital document, and since all the information here that is present, I cannot find any pattern into it, right? That's why they are called unstructured data. This second form of data or the data is available that is called semi-structure, where there is some structure. For example, JSON file. In JSON file, you will see there is elements, and corresponding to elements, there can be some values, and value can be text again. It can be audio. It can be visual. It can be anything. But I know every time it repeat, it will have this set of exact information like name, age or something, whatever it is. So it's semi-structured data, but you don't have to concern yourself with this too. We have to concern ourselves with the structured data. So any form of digital data that have a pattern of storage or a pattern that recur in its data form is called structured data. Best example of this one is Excel or table, where data is stored in row and column format. Okay. So SQL and the structure. So it implies that SQL operates on structured data set that is tabular data, where data is stored as row and column. Okay, there may be multiple form of structured data, but SQL operate only into tabular form of data. So you understand that one thing. As for structure stand for that SQL always and always operate on tabular form of data. Okay, it always execute operate on tabular form of data. That's by default. Okay, that's why this structure came into picture. Okay, so SQL first one was programming language. Second one is it operate on structured data, that is in our case or in SQL case is tabular data. Perfect. Now, there is one beautiful thing about this one. We need to understand that every row always represent one entity. Okay, this will represent one entity. this will represent another entity, and this will represent another entity. And the columns represent their characteristics or the attribute of those columns. That's why the table that SQL operates on, despite they are tabular data, they are also collection of similar entities with same characteristics. And what I want to say with this, any questions so far if I move a bit faster? No, I can go. Okay, let's quickly. Let me give an example. Suppose you are a student right now, you are fresh, okay? And you are in college. So you as a student, I'm talking about entity. Entity means identity, you can say in a way, okay? As a student entity, what are the information I can store about, I can tell about you, or I can store about you? First one, definitely your student ID, right? Second can be your student name. It can be first name, middle name, and the last name, but we are not getting into that deep level of division because that will come as normalization that we will learn in week 3 or week 4 or week 5, I guess. I don't remember. Okay. Then your stream, whether you are a mechanical student, civil engineers, whatever it is. Then course year, like in which year you enroll it or your enroll year. You can say anything, enroll year, okay? So these are the information that you as a student of a college should hold. But if you as a student can hold the information, that means your friend should also hold similar information, right? When I say similar means the input may vary, but the structure will gonna remain same. The student ID, student name, stream, and enroll year, right? That means I can represent these two data about you and your friend in tabular form. For example, you here and your friend you and friend. You are standing in a row like this, okay? So first your ID, then your name, then your stream, then your enroll year. And similarly name, stream, enroll year. Now see what happened. Both you and your friend as a student entity have same characteristic, right? Both have the ID, both have the name, both have the stream, both have enrollment year, right? But the values that gonna come inside this one may change, right? It may be possible both have the same name, suppose Robert, right? But both gonna have the same student ID. Answer is completely no. What about the stream? Possibly they might have the same stream, might not be. They might be enrolled in the same year, might not be, not necessarily true, right? But we are sure that ID never gonna be same because that uniquely identify you as a student, right? So that's why I told you in the definition that this tabular form of data on which SQL work store similar entities. They are not the same entity, similar entities with same attributes or characteristics. Okay, you got it. Why they are not same or why they are similar? Because the values inside those characteristics may differ from one another. That means they represent two different entities which are similar for this particular tabular form of data. Perfect. So you have to remember, despite the fact that SQL operate only on tabular form of data, but that tabular form of data should be storing these similar entities with the same characteristics. Okay, it should not be like that you created four columns, again saying the ID, then name, and then stream, and then your enroll year. And you put your information here, then you started putting the information about a chair. That chair ID, I put it like two, one for me. Then chair name, you put it like Johnson's. Then the stream is like, since it's from furniture, let's put it into civil. And then enroll year, since the beginning of the institute. Okay, but does both are similar object? Answer is completely no. That's why you need to understand this clearly. When I talk about, or anyone in IT, when you will be professional working, SQL implies is gonna work on the data that is stored in tabular form. That's one thing, but it's not gonna operate on all the tabular form of data. For this one, we need to ensure that a row represent entities, column represent the attribute of those entities. This is the requirement for the table. But what more another rule comes into is the relationship between any two of this entity, that this table should have similar entities with same characteristics. This a bit confusing, but not that confusing. Once you understand it, you will know. So first of all, SQL is a programming language. Second, it operate only on tabular data, but with two conditions. First one, row represent an entity and attribute represent, the column represent attributes or the characteristic of those entities. Second important thing about this tabular data is the relationship between two entities. That two entities in this tabular data where SQL operate should be similar with the same characteristics. Okay, similar entities with same characteristic. Then only you are eligible to operate on this data using SQL or SQL programming language. So I think the S for SQL is clear, right? Any question in case somebody asks? Nobody joined, so that's also fine. Let's quickly get into the third thing, that stand for Q for query. Okay. So you need to understand, as a programming language, we can use, or the programming language can be used in two ways. One is imperative and second one is declarative. Declarative. So imperative is like where you have to define everything to machine operate, operate to get the result. But if you just tell the operator what you want. Let me give you an example here. Okay. Here is imperative. Here is your declarative. Okay. The best example of imperative programming language is your C, C++, Python, Java. So if you have worked on the programming language, you understood that if you want to process a data in a file, you need to write many instruction. The first instruction is going to be asking the operator to go here, access this file, then read this file in memory, then perform the operation, and then ultimately yield the result in output. So you have to define all the method, everything. Okay. Whereas in declarative programming language, All your concern is the output. What you want to do, you as an individual ask that I need this info, and this you need to write in this SQL structure or language, and it will go to your operator again. An operator will process, and all this process, like what the process or the steps are involved that we defined by ourselves in the script. Here we don't need to define it. The operator will do it. It will automatically understand what you want. It will understand how it has to operate, how it has to execute the instruction to get that particular result. We don't have to bother with one. It will automatically give us the result. And that's why when we interact with the system, we always send questions or we always ask. That's why it's called querying. We always query that there is a this is this table is available. Yes. Can I get the information from this table? Yes. And it will provide you information. And someday I want the sum of the salaries of all the employees. Suppose, let's say let's I want the count of total student for civil stream. So I will ask him that I need the count of student that are studying in civil stream. It will automatically give you. You don't have to worry about accessing the data, then loading in the memory, then reading it one by one, and then counting, then put one pointer that count for every record you find for the civil, and then you keep on updating. No, you don't have to do that. All this thing will be taken care by your operator, and that's why this kind of programming also called prompt programming. Basically, you provide a prompt, but it is a structure prompt. Structured prompt. Or basically there are rules and regulation when you put this prompt, okay? That we're gonna learn slowly in day 4 and 5, because tomorrow we need to learn how to install it. So you don't have to worry, okay? So you understood one thing, that in SQL we simply send the request for the information we want. Rather than concerning ourselves how to do it, the operator will take care of this one, and based on our request, it will give us output. So that's why this way of communication is more or less asking and getting answer. And that's why this entire process, you can say, we are doing nothing but we are asking, we are querying our requirement. That's why SQL is also called a querying language. Perfect. Any doubt on this one? Let me quickly check if somebody has doubt. There's no one joined, so no doubt. The last thing about this one fourth is language. Language. Okay, as I told you that SQL is a language that enable 1 second. Yeah. Enable us to communicate with machine or computer, right? And since is a language has typically two major elements that anyone has to follow. First one is words that become key words in computer science or SQL, and the grammar becomes syntax. And both we will learn as we progress day wise. Okay, so you don't have to concern about yourself. And language, again, I told you this is something we use it to communicate with the computer. That's why it's called language or programming language. Nothing much. So that's the fourth one. So with this, we can say that almost what is SQL is concerned. First one is a programming language because it enable us to communicate with the computer. Second one, it operate on tabular data. Okay, I'm just summarizing you what is SQL. Okay. Programming language, second, it operate on tabular data, but under two conditions. First one is rows should represent entity and column should represent attribute or the characteristic of those entities. Second rule should be the relationship among the entities, that this tabular data or tabular information should store similar entities with same characteristics, same characteristics or attributes. Okay. Third thing we learn that when we gonna leverage this SQL as a programming language, we don't have to write the program to access the data load in the memory. All we do is query. We ask the question to the operator, and operator give answer. We ask again, it give us result. We ask, it give the result. So this way of communicating with computer is called querying language. And the last one is again, since SQL help us or enable us to communicate with the computer, that's why it's called language. And it have two things that we're gonna learn in the future. First one is your keywords. That's stand for words in language, any language. And the second one is syntax. That is nothing but grammar. Okay. So that's the summary for SQL. Any doubts? Let me quickly check if somebody joined and want to ask. I guess no. Or should I check? Yes. Okay, so there is no one. That's pretty cool. So we learned what is SQL so far. Before we learn what is relational data or database, we need to understand what is table. And I already taught you that SQL operate only on tabular data, where entities are stored in rows and column represent their attribute or characteristics. Okay, so this table. So now database become easy to understand or easy to teach you or learn it. So database is nothing but collection of these tables, or I can say SQL tables. Okay, so collection of the SQL tables is called database. Simple, 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 simple. So simple, dude, right? But one thing you have to understand, this SQL plus this database is a concept, and the implementation of this concept implementation as software is called relational database management system. What is relation, I will teach you later, not now, because it doesn't make sense here. Okay, so SQL is a programming language that helps us to communicate with tabular form of data, where row represent entity and column represent the attributes. Okay, and it stored the similar entities with the same characteristic. Database is nothing but the collection of these tables. Okay, you got it right. So the implementation of SQL with the database means how we store this tabular form of data, and SQL is the programming language that help us to operate on these tables. So the implementation of these two concepts into a software is called relational database management system. Okay, And there are multiple example of multiple software available. First one is MySQL, that is well famous. Then MS, Microsoft SQL Server, and then is PostgreSQL. The spelling is right, dude. Let me check quickly. PostgreSQL, yeah. PostgreSQL, yeah. So these are three different software that implemented the relational database management system by three different companies. But what we're gonna learn or what we're gonna operate our data on is this software that is called Postgres. And reason I told you, because right now it's open source and it is being widely accepted by major companies and even smaller companies because of their feature and easy to access and multiple different features that give it edge over other platform. Plus this is easily integrated with different uh, cloud-based technologies or cloud-based services like AWS, Azure, and I think Google as well. Not sure, I need to check this one, but these two I'm pretty sure. And that's why we're gonna learn the software Postgres. That so we're gonna learn. Firstly, we're gonna install Postgres SQL tomorrow. But as we progress, we're gonna learn Postgres as the software of relational database management system, okay, or software as relational database management system, okay. And this will help us to learn how can we store tabular data and how can we process tabular data using SQL. That we're gonna learn as we progress, okay. So you understood the fact, right? We understood what is SQL, we understood what is database, what and then we understood what is relational database management system. Are we clear so far? Do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, make sure you put in the comment section. You can simply, in case you want to know about something more, you can put in the comment section first. In case I don't respond and I missed out, you can simply connect me on LinkedIn, and I told you the link is available in my YouTube channel here. You can simply go to youtube.com/code for coin and enter. You will get to the home page of my YouTube channel. Simply click here. You will get the link to my LinkedIn. Just connect there and send a message that Nitin, this is the thing that I don't understand. Can you please elaborate on this one or something? Okay. Uh, See, the thing is, in the day one, we already cover it by learning through different website, learning through AI. So we were pretty much good on this one. So I don't find any. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. So I don't find any need to be more expensive on this one. I already summarized everything. So, but don't worry, like it's not like this is it. As we progress and we started creating databases, we start creating the tables, and then we started inserting, updating. You will get more understanding as we progress. Okay, so don't worry about this one. This by the end of this one, you will understand everything properly. Okay, and as we progress, you don't have to worry that I won't repeat this thing. I will keep on repeating because a lot of new people will join in between, so I need to make sure that they also learn what we are doing. Okay, so any questions? Let me quickly check. Answer is, I guess, no. So I think we don't have anything much to do now. So tomorrow we gonna make sure that we you join in because we gonna see the process or procedure of installing Postgres into our system. So this is gonna be really, really interesting, and somewhere it's gonna lay foundation for us to create databases, then create the tables, then play with the data into these tables like inserting, deleting, updating, or processing. So there's a lot we're gonna do as we progress. So this week is gonna be really, really fun or basic as well. So make sure that you keep on joining because I always do live stream at 12:10 GMT time. I think that's it for today. There's nothing much to firstly revise because everything is something we already covered in the day one.